G'day guys, this is Tier and welcome back to another Fallout 76 video. When I do these queen videos, I'm usually talking about ways to deal the most damage to the queen and how to kill it as quickly and efficiently as possible. Now it's time for me to share some neat little tips and tricks of how to stay alive during a queen fight. Yes, I'll say it here at the start of the video that the entire point of this video is to give guidance on how to not die at the queen fight. Results may vary. To make this as streamlined as possible, I've broken all my tips into 6 categories, which then will be expanded upon in chronological order. The categories of ways to help you survive the queen fight are: number 1, your build; number 2, chems; number 3, your armor; number 4, positioning; number 5, sneak; and then finally number 6, with general tips and tricks that didn't fit into any of the previous categories. Without further ado, let's get straight into the guide. Number 1, your build. So to start off with, let's talk about the simplest things and changes you could make towards your build that can have a massive impact on your survival during a queen fight. The queen has 2 primary attacks that she can use on you, the player: melee swipes and sonic blast attacks. Now, if you equip the blocker perk in your strength skill tree, you reduce the incoming damage of her melee swipe by 40%, which is absolutely no joke. Her melee swipes are like a gentle nudge with this perk equipped. And for her sonic blast attacks, we equip the fireproof perk, which reduces the damage of explosions and fire by 45%. Because for whatever reason, the sonic blasts from the Scorchbeasts count as explosions. So this greatly reduces the damage you take from those 2 main attacks. Now, I don't know what your build looks like, but if you're planning on fighting queens regularly, I would recommend you make room for these 2 perks in your skill tree card deck, as they are insanely helpful. Now there are a lot more perks that are kind of obvious, but I will go over them briefly. Barbarian, Lone Wolf, Evasive, Bodyguards, Dodgy. Basically any perk that increases your damage resistance overall is insanely helpful here at the queen fight, because obviously, more damage resistance, less damage you take. And all those will be a great help to help survive the Scorchbeast queen fight. 2. Chems. Now, let's talk about chems. If you haven't seen my previous video on how to properly fight the Scorchbeast Queen, I will link that in the top right corner now. In that video I go over all the chems you should be taking to do more damage. Let me reiterate, the point of this video is to give you tips that will help you survive and not die during the Scorched Earth event. Now let's get into it. This is a pretty easy concept to grasp, but a lot of players are still unaware of Radx Diluted. When you take this chem, it does not remove your mutations. That is a regular Radx that removes your mutations. Radx Diluted and Rad Shield, for that matter, do not remove your mutations. And these 2 chems are insanely helpful to combat the Scorchbeast Queen radiation that she emits. If you're able to get your hands on Rad Shield, definitely pop that, as well as Radx Diluted, which was previously mentioned. This allows you to have superior rad resistance than what power armor offers. I know, right? Crazy. So you can step out of your chunky boy vehicle and use more beneficial armor, which we'll get into the next category. Other chems you should be taking to help survive are obviously Stimpaks and Super Stimpaks. Don't be afraid to spam them if you're a bloodied build. Pop 3 or more supers and you'll survive anything. Now, buff out, for obvious reasons, vodka, and any other type of consumable that increases your max health and resistances are also beneficial for you to take. Because not everything is able to stack, so you guys should experiment and see what works for you, because not everything is able to stack with each other, some will override the other. Number 3, armor. As I alluded to before, power armor is not the be all end all for queen killing. In fact, it's kind of the bottom of the barrel unless you're using it for your heavy weapons build, or something similar. But if you're using power armor purely because you think it's giving you the most resistance and damage resistance and radiation resistance, then I have some better options for you right here. As I stated beforehand, you can get equal and sometimes greater rad resistance using chems. This leaves you open to equipping useful legendary armors that can be greatly beneficial. Starting off with Zealot's armor. A full set of this on top of everything else on this list, your health bar will not even budge. Zealot's armor makes you take 15% less damage from Scorched per piece. That is just insane! Now some of you might have scripted some of these items, but they are pretty useful, so hang on to them. Other legendary armors that are underappreciated are Poison Resist and Rad Resist. These are 3rd star prefixes of armors. The Rad Resistance prefix is self-explanatory for queen fights. The Poison Resist prefix actually allows protection from the queen's crop dusting acid attack. This allows you to tank those acid piss dumps without even needing to use a stim pack, because it will do barely any damage if you have enough of this armor stacking. That's all assuming if you have a full set, of course. The results may vary. Number 4, positioning. This one is kind of circumstantial and down to preference, but if you stand on top of the fence surrounding V9 as a rifleman commando, and stay hidden atop the fence, this gives you an incredible advantage over the adds that the Queen summons, and allows you to get clearer shots on the Queen once she's landed. I'd also like to point out not to stand on V9 as it glitches the Queen and prevents her from landing 9 times out of 10. What I mean by that is if someone is standing on V9 and the Queen by chance happens to target that player specifically, she will try to land on V9, but her AI pathfinding won't let her, so she will continuously fly around and do a crop dusting attack until she targets something else. A good strategy that can be put in place is have a rifleman / commando or even a heavy build on the fence, like I already said, to specifically target the adds the Queen spawns. So that means the Yaoguais, the Deathclaws and the Mirelurks, all of them will be ripping your mates apart, so make sure someone is on that fence destroying the adds that spawn. And if you're worried about not getting loot from the Queen, all you have to do is roughly deal around 1000 damage to the Queen and you're guaranteed to get loot drops from the Queen. So deal your damage, then focus on the adds if that's what you want to do, okay? Number 5, sneak. Now, something everyone should be doing during a Queen fight is sneaking. It helps keep you alive, which is the point of this video, and you deal more damage while successfully hidden during a fight. Now, simple ways you could increase your sneak potential are the Escaped Artist perk, probably the most important one to be honest, also the sneak perks, obviously, but also keep in mind you can use Harder to Detect and Chameleon Legendary Armors to help with this endeavour. Me, personally, I like to equip the perk and pop a Stealth Boy to guarantee that I stay hidden whilst fighting the Queen, as you guys have seen in my previous videos when I go for damage records. For a full guide to sneak, I recommend you check out a YouTuber by the name of Angry Turtle, who made a video series going insanely in depth about sneak mechanics of Fallout 76. Also, Unyielding Armor. This should have been in the armor category, but Unyielding increases your agility when you're low health, and agility in turn increases your sneak potential. So I just thought I'd throw that in there as well. Number 6, general tips. Now, finally we have general tips and tricks that you guys should know as well. If you stand completely still and stay hidden during a crop dusting attack from the Queen, apparently there is a chance that you will take no damage from the attack. Weird, ain't it? So don't move when she pisses on you, and stay hidden. Also, to further reduce the Scorchbeast Queen's sonic attack damage, you should equip a dense chest piece mod onto your armor, to again greatly reduce your explosive damage that you take. And finally, I'd like to end this video off with the 4 golden rules of Queen killing, just as a reminder, in case you didn't see my previous video on this matter. Never shoot her in the air, as this staggers her and prevents her from landing. If your goal is to cripple her wings to help everyone out, then just wait till she lands and then VATS her wings. Okay? Don't stand on top of V9 for the reasons mentioned previously. Also, don't throw grenades or use Fat Man launchers or missile launchers, as each of these massive explosions increase the chances of you or your allies crashing and freezing. Trust me, this game is still a buggy mess, so just don't use those here as they aren't worth it. And finally, this is a new one that I'd never really thought I'd have to cover, but Strangleheart per armor. Don't use it here. Obviously. It lags everyone out of the fucking game. I don't know how many times I've had to message people, hey, could you just remove one piece of your Strangleheart armor so you don't make me crash? Yeah, do that. Well, that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all learnt at least one thing from this video, and I hope you're all a little bit more tanky whilst fighting the Queen. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like. I do a lot of guides on 76, and if you want to see more content from me in the future, be sure to subscribe. I've been Tia, and I'll catch us in the next one. Peace.